I almost wish that somebody would slap me in the face every time I wasted time on the internet. I tried a 30-day experiment, and I think I might just have found the next best thing. I've had this feeling this year more than ever before that time is moving faster and faster. And because of this, I'm determined not to waste it. The one thing that I've found to be an unacceptable waste of my time is my crippling phone addiction and mindless scrolling of the internet. So I've come up with an idea that I'm going to try for the next 30 days. Every hour that I'm awake, I'm going to set an alarm to go off. There are two aims to this. Firstly, I want to become more aware of time passing. I want to acknowledge when another hour of my life has passed in the hope that by bringing more awareness to this, it can make it feel like time is not passing by so quickly. And secondly, more importantly, I want to use these hourly alarms as a reminder to not waste my time. So when the alarm goes off, I'm going to ask myself the question, am I being intentional with my time? That is to say, am I doing what I should be doing or what I want to be doing, or am I just wasting time? If you've watched any of my other videos, you will know that I'm not a big fan of my phone. So the last thing I want to do is set the hourly alarms on this, as I'd be giving myself an unnecessary reason to be constantly picking it up. So I'm going to be using my watch instead. I wear a Garmin Fenix 7, which I really love. I encountered a slight problem with my plan because my watch will only allow me to set 10 alarms. So I revised my plan a bit, and now I only have an alarm that will go off on the hour between 10 AM and 6 PM. That is 9 alarms during the working day, and I've set my final alarm to go off at 9 PM. And I'm going to use this as a reminder for me to switch off all my screens and start wearing my blue light blocking glasses. I'm a terrible sleeper and I have quite badly disturbed sleep, so I've been using these blue light blocking glasses for the last few months to try and improve the quality of my sleep. During the first week of my experiment, I did nothing apart from let the alarm go off on my watch. I've set it so that the alarm buzzes on my wrist rather than makes a noise. I realized that an audible alarm would not only be annoying, but would probably cause me problems if I was in a meeting or working with a client. During the first few days, I found the alarms to be instantly useful. As with any 30-day experiment I've done in the past, I am wary that this might just have been my initial enthusiasm for the idea. On 2 occasions this week, the alarms compelled me to stop watching some YouTube videos. I used the hourly alarms as a reminder to take a break from work, and this was helpful too. But on day 4 of the experiment, I was filming with a client, and to be honest, the alarms are a bit annoying when I was trying to shoot interviews. But because they're not audible alarms, this wasn't a massive inconvenience. In week 2, I decided to bring another layer of awareness to the experiment. When my hourly alarm went off, I decided to simply write down what I'd been doing during the last hour. I didn't put any pressure on myself to try and be productive. I simply wrote down, using 1 or 2 words, how I'd been mostly using my time during the last 60-minute window. What was interesting about this was because I knew I was going to have to write something down, this compelled me to try and use my time wisely. I didn't want to have to write down that I spent an hour sitting in my pants eating biscuits. And you can see here that I did this during the weekends as well. On this Saturday, we visited a Tutankhamun exhibition in Glasgow, which was excellent, but I felt like it was especially important to have my hourly alarms go off at the weekend as well, as this is probably when I have my most downtime, when I'm most likely to be lured into mindless scrolling or binge watching. In the 3rd week, I continued to use the hourly alarms as a reason to write down what I've been doing during the last 60 minutes, but I also added in this focus column here. This is simply me scoring myself a mark out of 10 on how focused or fully immersed I felt in doing that activity. You can see that I'm also now documenting how I'm using my time in the evenings after work. And you can see here on the 2nd of September at 7 o'clock, I watched TV and scored myself 2 out of 10. So clearly, I just slumped on the sofa and watched whatever happened to be on TV at that time. And I don't mind that at all. It is really important for me to take breaks, but what I don't want to be doing is using every hour of every evening mindlessly. In the final week of my experiment, I wanted to take things even further, so I started to analyze the information that I was writing down from my hourly alarms. So this is what I documented from Monday the 8th of September. You can see here that I've shaded these rows yellow, and I've decided to do this because I've scored myself 9 out of 10 for my focus or how intentional I feel I was being with my time, and this is quite high. The rows which are shaded red highlight times when I scored myself less than 5 out of 10. So the chart shows visually when I feel most and least focused or intentional with my time during the day. On the right here is a sort of visual representation of how focused or how much flow I felt like I had at different points during the day. I drew this that evening whilst lying in bed with my son Tom, and I was kind of just doodling. On subsequent days this week, instead of drawing this, I simply wrote down in a sentence or two how focused or mindful I felt like I was being in the morning, during the afternoon, and the evening. I've also written a brief sentence about the quality of my sleep. I've found that the only way for me to break unwanted habits is to get a full understanding of my own behavior. And the best way to do this is to study my own actions or observe my true self. In a previous video, I talked about how I would notice the cues that compelled me to reach for my phone. When I had these urges, I would write down the time and what it was that made me want to reach for my phone. Over time, I began to notice the patterns in my behavior, and I could recognize when I was most likely to grab my phone for no particular reason. Once I had a better understanding of my own behavior, that is when I was able to change it. And in the same way, this 30-day experiment of using hourly alarms has highlighted a number of things about my behavior. And I have to say, I find this really works. I tend to forget that I have the alarm set, but every time I feel the buzz, subconsciously I've made the decision to make better choices with how I'm using my time. Being restricted to 10 alarms on my watch was actually really useful. Any more than this would have been overkill. But the 9 PM alarm reminding me to switch off screens and put on my blue light blocking glasses is definitely helping my sleep. Now that I've finished this experiment, I'm not going to continue with writing everything down, but I am definitely going to continue with having the hourly alarms on my watch. Every hour of the day, I will be reminded to ask myself, am I being intentional with my time? And I think this is a really powerful thing to be asking myself throughout the day. Did it make me feel like time passed slower? This last month has been really busy, but I definitely noticed that I've been much more focused. I'm not sure whether or not this has made me feel like time is passing any slower, but more intentionality with my time makes me feel like the days are more complete, like I get more out of them. And to be honest, I don't think you can ask for more than that. If you decide to do something similar to what I've done in this 30-day experiment, then please let me know how you get on in the comments below, because I'd really love to hear from you. In the meantime, if you'd like to see how I reduced the screen time on my phone by 67% using the principles of the 16-8 or intermittent fasting diet, then watch this video here. Thank you for watching.